Welcome to Stepbrother, a steamy Academy romance web serial. With over 1 million reads online, Stepbrother is filled with secrets, sports, and second chances. Join Allie and Jace in this spicy romance.
Chapter 25. Jace. At the end of our game Friday night, the scoreboard read 29-28. Red would win. I tore off my helmet, my chest rising and falling quickly. This had to have been the worst fucking game I had ever played. I had missed 3 sacks, fumbled an interception, and let the other team score 12 points they shouldn't have made. "It's a win," Coach said in the locker room, glancing over at me. He was giving me that "we need to talk" look, which meant I had to avoid him for as long as I could. "Not our best performance, but you boys did good tonight. No practice tomorrow morning. Rest up." I didn't want to talk to Coach. I knew my mind hadn't been in the game tonight. It was on the 2 million I had stuffed in bags in my car, how I had to flirt with Nicole later, and Allie, who had been in the bleachers, wearing Jamal's fucking number on her back, even after what had happened the other day in her bio classroom. "Party tonight, boys," Carter shouted through the locker room once Coach was gone. I usually didn't go to his stupid fucking parties, but I knew that Nicole would be there, and I had skipped last week. I had to keep up the reputation of being one of the rich, spoiled kids just a bit longer. After showering, I told Jamal I'd meet him in the parking lot in 20 minutes because I had to bring Allie home. It was probably my worst lie yet since Allie was getting a ride home from Imani, but I had to think of something believable. I snuck out the back door, slid into my car, and drove to the back of the parking lot by the dumpsters. 2 fucking mil was too much in my opinion for this kind of thing, but poison set the price, and I was desperate as fuck. Kai was waiting for me, leaning against his motorcycle with a laptop in his hands. I parked out of sight from the cameras and got out of the car. "Cameras are off for the next 15 minutes, Kai said, closing the computer and stuffing it into his backpack. "Don't worry about it." "Where are they?" I asked, crossing my arms over my chest and leaning against the car with anxiety rushing through my body. If we were caught, everything I'd worked so hard for would be over. Allie, football, my inheritance. Joao's sleek black car pulled into the parking lot right next to mine. He and Landon both exited the car and walked over to us. "You got it?" Joao asked. Landon arched a brow. "Anxious tonight, Harbor? You almost lost the damn game for us." "You want the money or not?" I asked through clenched teeth, opening the trunk. Joao, Landon, and Kai walked around to the back. Joao nodded, a smirk crossing his lips. "Didn't think you'd be able to get this much in time," he said to me. He nodded to Landon and then to the trunk. "Take it." Landon gathered the bags and put them in Joao's trunk. "Text the details to Kai," Joao said, shutting the trunk. "We'll count the money tonight. We can do it tomorrow at the earliest." Then he and Landon climbed into the car and sped out of the parking lot. Kai got on his bike, grasping his helmet. "Do me a favor," he said before putting it on. "Whatever you do, don't hurt Allie. She's a nice girl. She's the only one who grew up on the shit side of town who has a chance of going anywhere in life." He pulled the helmet on and drove off into the night. I swallowed hard and drove back to the student parking lot, finding Nicole and some of the football players and cheerleaders still there, hanging out by their cars. I got out of the car and walked to the group, hands stuffed in my pockets. I didn't know why the fuck we were still here if Carter was having a party, but I would rather get this over with now than later when I was going to be shit-faced drunk. Nicole glanced at me from across the group, and I offered her a smirk, tilting my head to the sidewalk and away from the group. She walked over to it and I followed after her, hating that I was doing this shit. "Good game," she said, biting her lower lip. "But you looked a bit stressed the entire time. Why don't you come over tonight? I can help with that," Nicole said, drawing her finger up and down my chest. All I wanted to do was push her away and tell her to screw off, but I needed her to trust me. I needed poison to get me my fucking information. "Party tonight," I said, brushing off her advances like I used to. I slung an arm around her waist, tugging her closer to me so her chest was pressed against mine. But what about tomorrow? I whispered into her ear. JC. She sprawled her hand across my abdomen. Why don't we sneak into my car and get it over with? I bet you've been aching to fuck me hard, get all that anger out, hurt me. I snatched her jaw in my hand, telling myself not to hurt her like I wanted to because nothing about it would be pleasurable to her. I wanted to rip her face off and make her so ugly that even plastic surgery would never be able to fix her. I said tomorrow, I said. I love when you get all dominant like that, she giggled and stepped away. If you want to wait for tomorrow for this, she gestured down at her body, then I'll see you at my house at 7. Gaze flickering behind me, she smirked even wider. Don't be late, lover boy. She climbed into her car and I turned around to get into mine, but Allie stood behind me with wide eyes that told me she had heard every single word of that worthless conversation. Her eyes were filled with tears, and I could feel her pain. It felt like sophomore year all over again.
You've reached the end of this episode. You can find the completed audiobook at shopameliarose.com/products/stepbrother. But if you'd like to continue listening to our free episodes, make sure to hit the follow button to receive updates.